Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'll be doing a January wrap-up. I'd first like to talk about why I changed my channel name, if you guys haven't noticed. I recently decided to open up another channel and that name fit it more considering I kind of had a more video game based name for that one. So um, that's why my channel name has recently changed. Anyways, moving on, I finished 5 of the 6 books I had originally planned on reading, which, considering how busy I've been, that's actually not too bad. Um, I'd first like to talk about History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This book is about Griffin losing an ex-boyfriend of his due to an accidental drowning, and he was always convinced that they'd end up together, even though the other boyfriend got another boyfriend. Um, this book I did like, I just didn't love it as much as I expected I would. I guess I hyped it up in my mind, so I thought it'd be better than what I thought. I liked the writing style. I liked how it was fast paced. I like how the author would put something in and then bring it up again. I didn't expect that, and I really appreciated that. I just didn't like the characters. I definitely didn't really like the main character. I felt so much secondhand awkwardness every time he would say something that wasn't appropriate or whatnot, and I get enough of that in my daily life that I didn't really want to have to read about it. I'm definitely one of those people that feel secondhand awkwardness excruciatingly a lot. So yeah, and I didn't really like Jackson. I thought he was, I don't know, two-dimensional. I didn't feel very much depth in his character, so I didn't really enjoy that. I would like to see a return of some of the characters because I would like to see all this from a different person's perspective, particularly one person's perspective. But yeah, I like the author's writing style, so I'd definitely look into his other books. I just didn't like the characters in this book. But I do think this would be a book I would reread because I did enjoy it enough that I feel like I'd like to come back to it. So, the next book I'd like to talk about is trilogy really, is His Dark Materials. Um, this book is basically about Lyra. She's in a world like our own, except very different from ours. In this world, you have demons that are basically animals that represent your soul, kind of like this little fella. Um, so in that in this world, Lyra ends up having to go on a journey to help rescue these kidnapped kids, and I don't want to say anything more. I didn't expect this book to be as deep as I got. It explores a lot of themes I wasn't expecting, such as religious themes and other such things, and it was a lot darker than I expected for, I think it was meant to be a middle grade book, but I don't consider it a middle grade. If anything, I consider it either a little bit of a young adult slash adult fantasy, honestly. Um, it was great. I loved the characters. I loved the world he built. It was so unique and not something I've seen before, so I really appreciate that. And I would definitely recommend it. It's one I would definitely reread a few times, honestly. And the audiobook for this series was fantastic. I don't usually do audiobooks because when I do audiobooks, I kind of zone out. So I typically avoid them, but I kind of got desperate because I was really into the books and I had forgotten the book when I went out. So I ended up listening to the audiobook for book 2 and I was blown away. And I'll explain why. So each character in the book had its own voice actor, and then the narration for the characters' movements was narrated and I found out this later, by the author himself, who's actually really good. And it was so good because it was immersive, and usually I can only get immersed in a book if I read it, because I am one of those people that will literally see everything as if it's a movie. And for once with an audiobook, I was able to do that. So I just wish all audiobooks were like this. I would definitely recommend looking at the audiobook if you don't want to read the physical book. It was great. And I actually plan on rereading this series just through listening to the audiobooks. It is that good. The next book I'll be talking about is the one I was extremely disappointed on because I expected so much more. And while I don't think it was a bad book, it wasn't my cup of tea. And that would be The 13th Child by Patricia C. Wrede. I just realized I did not say any of the author names for the previous books, so I'll probably edit that in. This book was basically, I can't pronounce her name right. Let's just call her F. She's the twin sister to the seventh son of a seventh son, and she is the 13th child, and she is considered bad luck by everyone in the town except for her immediate family, and they end up having to move to avoid everything. And in this world, there is magic, and it is set in a more pioneer theme kind of time. It's like a world like our own, except during the settling age, where England went to here and all that jazz. So I guess I kind of, since it was a fantasy with magic, I expected more of a plot kind of based book, and I was a little disappointed when I realized that's not what I was getting. Little House on the Prairie with magic, and I kind of didn't. I thought that there would be more to that than that. I liked Little House on the Prairie, but now that I'm older, I'm more into stories with like an actual enemy. Like, not if I'm reading a contemporary, obviously, but when I'm reading a fantasy or a sci-fi, I expect an overall villain, and this one didn't really have that, and it felt like I was reading and nothing was really happening except for some side plots with the family and everything else, and I was a little disappointed by that. I liked a lot of the characters, and I did like one of the plot lines with the sister because it reminded me of my own family. But it's not something I would reread, and it wasn't bad, and I would definitely recommend it if Little House on the Prairie meets magic interests you, but it just, with a fantasy book, I kind of expect more. I mean, I don't know. It just isn't something that was really interesting to me. I wasn't able to get to The School for Good and Evil. I got about 100 pages in, but it was pretty good from what I read, and I'm hoping to finish it this month. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching.